All right, welcome everyone to the one-on-one Q3 2024 earnings call. I'm here at the one-on-one content studio. So I'm joined by Ricardo Allen, CEO of One-on-One, and we're going to be going through the results for Q3 and also just an overview of the year to date. So we're going to kick things off with a word of prayer, and then I'll hand over to the CEO. So Lord, we thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the ability to meet in this way. Lord, we pray that as we go through these results, it will be one that is enlightening to those who will listen. Lord, we pray for success for One-on-One. And Lord, we thank you for everything that you will do during this session. And we give you glory, honor, and praise in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Over to you.
Thank you, Jermaine. Welcome, everyone. It's been a while. My name is Ricardo Allen. I'm the founder and CEO of One-on-One. And today, my job is really just to take you through our performance over the past quarter. Obviously, I'll be showing you kind of what we've been up to for the entire year, and you know, all that is going on at One Academy and One-on-One, right? So, you know, just to give you a quick overview of the agenda, you know, we'll kind of go through a few things, present a few things on the financials, company outlook, and then we'll take some question and answers, right? Now, from a strategic standpoint, right? You know, as you know, the company has been really focused on ensuring that we get those recurring revenues going. You know, I've said it quite a number of times. We're squarely focused on ensuring that we establish a very sustainable revenue model for the company, kind of cemented on our technology, you know, and our content, not just in terms of for schools or for businesses, but for governments across the entire region. That's our focus, right? And that has been our focus. So recurring revenue is a big part of what we've been kind of focused on. The next one you have here is cost optimization. This has been a theme of kind of what we're looking at, right? Cost optimization in terms of, you know, more or less, you know, looking to automation and a few other initiatives to ensure that we keep that cost down. We like where we are now, but we do believe that there are more opportunities for us to continue to optimize costs. You know, our business model is quite simple, right? We invest up front and we benefit for years to come from our technology, from our IP. As you will see, we've spent a lot of money on technology or software. We've spent a lot of money over the past year, and we're now starting to actually get the benefit of that investment. In fact, over the past 2 years, in fact, right? And then obviously monetizing of our investments. This is very important. So right now we're benefiting from one of our investments. This is our content studio, located about a minute out of Halfway Tree. Massive space with about 5 state-of-the-art studios that we use to stream content all across Jamaica and the Caribbean. And this is going to be a massive revenue generator for us, right? So monetization of our investment is key. Of course, we can't have a quarter without telling you about our corporate social responsibility, right? We had an opportunity to do quite a number of things, but one of the highlights were, you know, we kind of supported the graduation of Ray Bueno, primary at a school right there in L.E.A.R.N. If you know my story, you know that's my alma mater. It is something that I tend to do every year. Last year, we gave a scholarship to each child graduating of about $10,000. And this year, we did something quite similar. And we continue to support schools, the community, and just about everyone. So, from a high level, these are the core focus areas. Now, just to get into, the performance of the company, right? So from an highlights perspective, we have our revenues here. Revenues are up by about 37%. We're up to 94 million when compared to May 2023. We have, for example, our admin selling expenses. If you're following the company, back in January, we announced, or at the end of Q2, we actually announced some cost-cutting exercise. The reality is that coming out of COVID, we would have structured the business to support a COVID revenue structure, right? This involved a lot of projects, a lot of things that were more or less one-offs, right? And, coming out of that, management's focus was really to ensure that we kind of retool the business to take advantage of a sustainable revenue model. And what that included was to kind of shift or structure a little, and that kind of saw us reducing expenses by about 21%. Now, just so that you understand, there were some residual impact here from some of the reduction exercises that we did that kind of went into Q3. And so in Q4, this number should actually look a little better. And of course, all of that, more revenues, less money being spent, leads to a net profit of about 24% compared to 24 million, compared to 3.9 million back in May 2023. Now, if you look at our P&L, you will see a tax charge there, a deferred tax charge of about 7 million. Remember, that is non-cash. And so the pre-tax revenues or net profits would have been about $31 million or thereabout. Now, just to go deeper into our numbers, you would have seen this obviously on our financials. Total equity is about 386 million, down slightly from May last year. Then we have our assets. Our assets are up by about 6.3% to about 628 million compared to 590 million as at May 2023. In terms of, just looking at the summary of our numbers, you're seeing here intangible assets. We've spent a lot of money on our software over the past year. I mean, this is the core of our business. Just so you understand that, the team complement is about 50 team members now, and perhaps half of that team is in R&D, right? So we are a company that invests heavily in research and development, building our software and technology to license it for revenue. That's how we earn recurring revenues. We have trade receivables at about 131 million. Now, just to give you some context, subsequent to May 31st, we've collected in excess of about $70 million of these receivables, right? So looking into Q4, you should see these receivables more or less cutting half, right? Or less, right? So we're doing a much better job in terms of collecting on monies owed to us. We have a long-term loan on our books that we took up in Q2. That was to kind of fuel some of the things that we were doing and gave us time to ensure that we can execute on the monetization strategy that we have. So these were some of the highlights that you're seeing here. In terms of our P&L, always good to see everything in green, but, we kind of want to measure that success in terms of, this is not a one-off performance, guys, right? As I've kind of said and stated repeatedly, we're a company that is heavily focused on ensuring that we create a sustainable revenue model, right? We are not focused on one-off revenues, blips, none of that, right? Over the past, I would say, 18 months, we've been kind of investing in our core technology. And one of those areas would have been to build and engineer a solution to stream content into schools via our learning platform, right? And this would have taken up a lot of that investment. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. We would have kind of kept that number at 25 schools for the major part of the year. And in Q3, we kind of agreed to kind of ramp up to 100 schools. We've so far completed implementation in about 75 schools, being ready for September, and our aim is to get to 100. And all those schools will be actually streaming their classes from this content studio. Not just those core classes that we do in school, the math and the language, those are fine. But the ones I'm really excited about are the next generation subjects, right? those subjects that will kind of take Jamaica and the world kind of forward. And this is the opportunity that exists, right? So we have revenues of 95 million, gross profit of about 78 million. Just to give you some perspective on this, we like to keep at our company our gross profitability and our gross profit margin in and around that 80% region. We kind of like to keep those direct costs very, very small. And then when you back out admin expenses, you're left with a net profit about 24 million, which nets you at about 20%, 25% net margin. So that's kind of where we are, and obviously that's an improvement from last year. We're very happy about these results. It's a testament to the work that we've done, obviously, and the work that we continue to do. In terms of going forward, we do expect to continue on this trajectory. Once we, again, we don't want to rush anything that we're doing. We've been very focused over the past 18 months, 2 years since IPO. We've been very focused in doing things in a very measured way, even if that meant for the past, 9 months of even this financial year, we're still in a loss position of 17 million. The good thing is that we've turned a corner because whereas at the end of Q2, we were seeing losses of 41 million by making a profit of 24 million. In Q3, we're now turning the corner. And I can share with you very comfortably to say that we have turned a corner. And going forward, I'm expecting profitability to continue based on the initiatives that we have. In terms of cash, the big thing for us is that, guys, we've really spent a lot on investing. If you look here, the number that kind of jumps out, for the 9 months ending May. So this is not a quarterly cash flow statement. This is really an accumulated number. So you're seeing more or less, 87 million in investing in activities. And what are we investing in? We're investing in our core software, right? We're investing in building the infrastructure that will support governments across the region. We're investing in the infrastructure that will support the streaming of content to schools across the region. And we're also investing in our B2B product that will support companies. You would have seen us doing a launch of the company's office. I'll talk about that a little more. But this is the idea. We're spending a lot in investing. In terms of financing activities, you have 70 million there. And we have an ending cash balance of about $51 million, down from 96 million. And this is a reflection of the monies that we've kind of spent in the business to do all the things that we're kind of focused on. Now, this kind of gives you an idea as to what we're preparing for to stream in the schools, right? We have teamed up with not only the ministry and the schools, but we're pretty much streaming content and teachers from this central location into the schools, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I kind of want to give you some perspective. Now, just to give you a high-level overview, in my report, I would have mentioned that a lot of the revenues would have come from One Academy being rolled out in more schools. Now, if you kind of look back in our previous quarters, we would have said that we're keeping the number at 25 schools despite other schools being interested, okay? And that was intentional. We need to ensure that we get this software right. There's a lot of engineering that goes into it, and we didn't want to get that wrong, right? And so in Q3, we decided to actually, allow for more schools to come on board. And now we're at 75 with 25 more expected over the course of the next month or so, right? So where are we? Phase 1 is what you know as the teacher availability solution. And so this is at the top here. And this is really was intended to assist the schools in actually ensuring that if there's not a teacher present, then you can stream the content from one-on-one. This was more or less up to March, which is the end of Q2, or a month beyond the end of Q2. April, we kind of started testing this live streaming of content, right? And some recorded. And for 2025, 2026, we're going to move into transforming the full classroom, which is what you're seeing here, which is not just putting the technology in the classroom, but just to transform the space and so on. And, we're working with Corporate Jamaica to get this done. This is a CSR initiative that we're focusing on, in addition to what we're doing by putting the technology in. Now, there are 3 users of the One Academy platform. There's a student access to learn. There's a teacher access. to actually teach, and then the schools will access our platform to stream content into the classroom, as well as to use our platform to do very important functions of their day-to-day activities, such as generating reports, managing attendance, and many other functionalities that are required in a school on a day-to-day basis, right? So, this is the One Academy framework. We can talk a little bit more about it. We were in Kanto recently, guys, and, we spoke a little about, Kanto is more or less one of the largest ICT conferences in the region, right? And we were invited to speak specifically on education systems across the region. I was joined by the Minister of Education in the Bahamas and the Director of Education on stage, and Cable and Wireless, and BTC, which is Bahamas Telecommunication Company. And, I made a case for education to be seen as infrastructure across the region, right? And what happened at Kanto is truly special. They highlighted what we've done for the Bahamas education system as the most advanced education system within the region, based on the infrastructure and the technology that we've put in there, and how our software is being used to just transform the way they do things. And I can tell you right now, countries across the region are taking plane trips to the Bahamas just to see exactly the work that they have done and how they have done it. And we're a key part of that process. So Kanto has been a success for us. And, we continue again to engage at a regional level to solve some of those problems. And, again, we're moving into 100 schools for September with this same technology that we talk about, that will now allow a different angle, not just transforming the way that the education system works, but to connect the education system to content, right? So think of the software being in place, and then we're layering on top of that live streaming of content on a daily basis from a national timetable. Finally, so outside of that, obviously, we're still in the B2B side. There are two sides of the business. There's the school side, and then you got the B2B side. The B2B for us is our companies. You'd have seen recently we launched the Companies Office of Jamaica, platform which allows, anyone in Jamaica who is starting a business to do a beneficial ownership course. They just changed the law. So once you are creating a business, you must adhere to this new law. And so anyone who is creating a business will need to kind of go through this platform. Any lawyer, anyone out there, you need to go through this platform and actually access the course. And, while we've highlighted the Companies Office of Jamaica, we have quite a number of not only government agencies, but private sector companies who have come on board to use our platform. Some of them, some of them, obviously, we're bounded by confidentiality to share, but quite a number of platforms are using our platform to run their own kind of training business, right? Whether that be the Companies Office, which sells a course, or someone who uses it internally. Obviously, on the course creation side, we also support them to make the courses available for their constituents. Now, in terms of outlook for Q4, we want to build on this new operational framework. We like where we are. We think we're in a very good place. As I said, those expenses are more or less where we want them. And, the ongoing cost of management, automation, and efficiency, these are going to be key factors, right? A big thing for us is that, going into point 3 is that we're working on releasing our AI that we've been working on for the past 2 years, Una. We're going to be unleashing that to the schools. So, while the schools are streaming this content, we're going to have an AI agent in the classroom that has been trained on our local curriculum to ensure that they can answer those questions from students and teachers, so that it kind of moves the lesson along much more quickly. And if needed, they can connect with a live teacher in this central location. So this is going to be a big one for us. And then, we're always seeking new opportunities regionally and internationally. As I've always said to shareholders, opportunities are going to come, but we believe that there is enough opportunity right here in the region. And our market is not Jamaica. Our market is the region, right? And in the region, we have enough people, enough schools, enough governments, enough need to satisfy the growth and to continue fuel the growth of one-on-one from where we are to where we kind of want to go. And I'll just kind of leave by showing you one of the corporate workshops that we're doing. So it's not just about one academy on the school side, but companies like JPS and so on. You know, this is Gina, who is the digital transformation lead at JPS. She's doing a workshop that is being streamed to the entire world. So, you know, I'm just going to have a discussion with Jermaine, but thank you so much. And let's go on to some questions.
Necessarily a leader in that organization. It could be you're a leader in the community.
Morning again, Robert.
Yes, morning. Great presentation. I was really looking at how I remembered our conversation a year ago when you were just, I guess, shaping this, can I say, new strategy? And I mean, talk to me a little bit about what the last year has been like.
Yeah, Jermaine, first of all, you know, just to share with everyone, I know you're used to me being excited and high pitch and so on. I'm recovering from a little flu, it feels like, but nonetheless, I'm here and I'm here for you because we have to show up. But, you know, Jermaine, the last year has been really about focusing on our core strategy, right? In our business, we have to set a vision. And we have to work every day, everything that we do towards that vision. And that vision for us was to build a very robust technological infrastructure and software that can support an entire education system to be fully digitalized, right? And so we've worked on that, and we've spent a lot of work on that. And where we are more or less in that is more or less, how do we build on top of the data that we have, that we collected from every single data point in an education system? And how do we use that to enhance reporting to government stakeholders? So that has been one side, right? And then the next side, Jermaine, we've invested and finalized this entire content studio that we have here, right? And for us, what that means is not just building it, but testing, you know, testing that teaching pedagogy and ensure that we are spot on to get the stakeholders involved. We have every stakeholders on both sides of government coming in and testing it, schools testing it, and so on. And so it has really been R&D. It has been heavily R&D. And we believe we have something now that is truly amazing, Jermaine, and we believe the schools will benefit a lot from it. I mean, you know, when the schools come and they see it, they say, Ricardo, we want more. And so that is encouraging. It means that we've done something well, and we've built something that is going to be here for a very long time.
So when you say education, you're not just talking about the traditional form of education, right?
Absolutely not. You know, I mean, you know, one of the reasons why I went this route is that we had a need in our education system, in that we have math teachers, we have English teachers, and those are fine. But if you realize education has not really changed for the past 400 years, right? It has been a teacher going up to a class and teaching. Our vision is to change that. Jermaine, look at the classroom. I mean, we're in the classroom of the future, right? And this is what we're building for schools. Now, what we mean by a classroom of a future is to change the mind and the way of thinking, and to ensure teachers are equipped with how they need to teach the curriculum. We need to infuse that technology in the curriculum. We call it STEAM, some call it STEM. But most importantly, we need to ensure that the students have the right technology and equipment to connect with the lesson. Now, how do you do that? We can either give every child a piece of technology that they can connect into the lesson, or we can give this child a big enough monitor where they can connect with a teacher who is giving them an immersive learning environment. So now I'm teaching physics or biology. You're seeing me interacting with a plant. You're seeing me interacting with a car or an electric car and show you how things work. So you get a realistic view as to how things work. So it's not just this traditional subjects that we're doing. We're doing the next generation stuff. We're going to be teaching the kids robotics, AI, those sort of things. We have partnered with Microsoft on their L.E.A.R.N program, and L.E.A.R.N, TEALS actually, Technology, Education, Advancement, and Leadership, is a program in the United States where high school students who are advanced can take this program, and they are paired with a Silicon Valley company and so on. We have the partnership with Microsoft to do that in Jamaica and regionally. And these are going to now be Microsoft-led courses that we're pushing to every high school student in Jamaica and the Caribbean as well.
Great stuff. So you've also had to make some changes to the structure of the company, right? To adjust to this new direction that you've taken. What's the team like now? You said earlier that half of it is pretty much R&D. What's the rest of the makeup like? Is this team that you have now enough to take you through the next phase?
You know what? We have an incredible team, Jermaine. You know, one of the things that the most painful thing I've had to do as a CEO, I would say, over the past 10 years was early in the year, I had to look at the company last year, to look at our strategy going forward and to look at our team and to ensure that there's full alignment with our current team to what our strategy is, taking into account costing, taking into account technological needs that we need, and so on and so forth. And one of the things we decided to invest in was our R&D department, right? So while we kind of had a separation exercise, our R&D team was the least affected, right? In fact, we've grown that team because we kind of wanted to invest in the right things, such as AI and some of the LLM that we're training for the local curriculum. So that was a big thing for us. And also, we didn't want to lose sight of our content side. So the content teams and the R&D teams remain. Most of the persons who we have right now are the key persons who are needed to take the strategy forward. And we're very confident that we can. I mean, we have a solid team, Jermaine. We continue to look at ways to expand that team. Me personally, I spend a lot of my time now on R&D. As a CEO, you're taught to spend on sales, right? But I'm a more product guy. It's unconventional, but we sell through engineering products, right? And so, you may not see a lot of marketing from one-on-one is because, well, we build really great products that once people begin to use it, they start to use it even more and share that kind of user experience with people. And that's how we get clients. We get clients through marketing existing users of our platform. So I spend a lot of time engineering. We have Dr. Anderson who does a great job of that, but we have a solid team, Jermaine, and I'm quite happy about it. Right. I'm nothing without it.
All right, so we're in your content studio right now.
Right.
What's the progress of that rollout? I've certainly enjoyed using it. I've looked at a few screens and I've been nudging my co-founder. To saying what we can do for our own purposes, but talk to me about the rollout. Can companies come and use the studio right now?
Yeah.
And talk.
No, absolutely. So, Jermaine, we built this because we felt that content is going to be the future, right? And with generative AI and so on, now content is going to be quick and easy for people to do. And so we kind of wanted to build a place that is sufficiently state-of-the-art that persons could use and quickly generate content on the fly. So no, you don't have to sit down at a computer and try to put things together. We wanted you to walk into a room, press a button, and then you can start kind of recording content that is sufficiently advanced. And so we are right there. I believe we're about 95% completed now. I mean, I would say 100% actually. But what I would say is that for us, we're about 3,000. So the capacity of the studios are about 10,000 hours in production capacity. Once we get to 10,000 hours per year in content generated, we have to now expand that need. But we have revenues locked up for probably about 3,500 hours of content. So we're about 35%. 200 million investment here, 35%, you do the math, and that is recurring revenue. So we continue to grow and the utilization is there. Obviously on the school side, we're streaming to school. On the company side, we're streaming into companies, and it's easy for companies, right? Like they always wanted to do this, right? But it was hard. So once they book the studio, you can book it. You go on to one-on-one-lms.com, you book a studio, you pay, you come in, you use it. Bam, we have the team here. You don't have to worry about anything. We package and give it to you. It's all automated. And that's what we love, right? Self-editing, all of that. That's what our focus, that's our vision, and we're going to get there.
All right. So I can agree. I did check the website. You can book the studio. You just say how many hours you need it for and so on. So that I can definitely attest to that. You're building a regional business, right? So you mentioned the work with
Bahamas.
With the Bahamas. Are there any other countries that you're working with? And also, what does the business look like in Jamaica?
You know what? So I would say our two strongest business is Jamaica and Bahamas, right? Those are our kind of strongest business, right? And then we do have a presence in all countries. Let me just be clear. We do have a partnership with Cable and Wireless International, where they run our platform in every English-speaking countries, and it's a part of the Flow package, right? It's not something that we've worked a lot on monetizing, but it is available to Flow customers, right? One of the things that we're doing is that we're trying to now leverage that relationship along with the work that we've done in the Bahamas. And whether we like it or not, it's not about even us going to other countries. They're going to see what we've done in Bahamas. They're coming to Jamaica to see what we've done. And those countries are calling us to say, we want you. So there are a few countries that we have on our next phase of implementation. Obviously, I can't talk about that. But you will see them kind of popping up for January, I would say the next fiscal year, those countries coming on. I think about at least another 2 or 3 by next year. Jermaine, I just want to share with our shareholders, it's not easy to transform an education system. It takes years, and it takes years to undo once you've done it, right? And so if we get a country, your revenue moves by an order of magnitude that is quite significant to what your base revenue is, right? But it's important not to get a lot one time. It's to get one, do it well, and then move on. I think what we've done in Bahamas, what we're doing in Jamaica is a template that we can use to move forward. And that's really what we will do. We will move faster, obviously. But I will say 2 is success. 3 is, getting me very happy, and my shareholders, probably I can start paying dividend. But if we get 1, is a lot of work. And so we have a number of countries that are lined up, but we're being very strategic in how we kind of expand what we do. But we have a presence in every Caribbean country, and we have almost a list of countries who have engaged us to come in and do what we've done for Bahamas and what we're doing for Jamaica.
Okay, so I just wanted to pause here just to be sure that you're able to hear us clearly. I did see one person mention that they're not able to hear us so well, so just confirming for other persons in the chat that you're able to hear us. I believe everything is okay on our side. So I'll just wait another 2 seconds. Just a thumbs up in the chat if you're able to hear us, and we should be good from there. All right, so I'll continue. So in terms of the business in Jamaica, I know that you've mentioned the work with schools, but what is the state of the B2B business?
The state of the B2B business is good, Jermaine. We have a platform, one-on-one for teams, where companies can use to train their team members. It's a subscription you pay for however many team members you have, and you kind of use it to onboard all your team, add your courses, and then train all your team members. It's quite a sophisticated platform. One of the things that we're adding to that platform is the ability to generate AI content, so that companies don't have to pay an arm and a leg to generate content, right? And this is, I think, a good opportunity for companies to use and so on. So the business is growing. We have grown in number of clients. We've signed a number of clients in the past quarter as well. One of them is actually something I'm very excited about that I really should tell you about is we've signed a deal to train the Guyana Police Force through Pan America Development Fund, right? That's quite exciting, and that's the B2B side. And we don't mention these things enough. I think I need to do a better job in doing that. But in Jamaica, we also have Excelsior Community College. There'll be a big press release next week. That's something we're trying to get into the universities as well, and the community colleges. So we are expanding our footprint in the B2B space. Obviously, our focus right now is on the governments and the education infrastructure in the schools and so on. But our B2B is growing at a pace. It's just that the schools is growing so rapidly. But we're still very focused on that. For us too, content is a big thing for companies. Companies pay us to develop content for us, and they also pay us to use our content space to create content. Now, here's the thing about the content business, right? The content business can feel a lot like a project business where you get paid to build content, right? And again, we're not very happy about one-off projects. And so one of the models we're introducing is to allow companies to retain our services on a recurring model. And so they're buying hours and fixed number of hours for the entire year for the studio, and they get to use it, kind of thing. And so that's a recurring, nice recurring. So we've transformed the content business into a recurring business, right? And then on the learning platform side and the training platform, companies are paying us to use our platform. Now, one of the ones we're quite excited about, obviously, is Company Office of Jamaica. They have launched their beneficial ownership course. We have JBDC who will be launching their platform as well, and we have a number of government entities who will be launching their platform. So they're coming to one-on-one, they're leveraging our technology. We continue to roll out new features for them, and we continue to grow that business in a very strategic, very measured way, Jermaine. We're not trying to do things because we want to be or report profitability. We want to do things because it's the best thing to do for the long-term sustainability of our company. It is something that I feel very passionately about, and I hope shareholders now understand why I do these things. I hope the performance in the last quarter shows them why I am very focused on key strategy that will cause long-term returns.
So I'm happy that you mentioned profitability there, because I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that you brought on up to 75 schools in Q3. Is it the revenue that we're seeing for Q3 reflecting that 75, or what can we expect in terms of revenue going forward on a quarter by quarter basis?
Yeah, I think so. The revenues that you're seeing certainly has something to do with bringing on the additional schools. But remember, we've not started to stream content yet. So, you're going to see that revenue continuing to more or less be steady as we move on, and then we start to add more services and more content being streamed. The model is very simple. We stream a baseline classes to these schools. The students can interact with the central teacher and so on, but more than that, as the schools demand more subjects, we get additional revenues as well, right? So we expect that to continue to grow. It is a focus of ours, and yeah, you will see that continuing to grow. What I will say to you, Jermaine, is that any revenue that you see one-on-one earn, you can make a bet that there's a large portion of it that is recurring, and so I think that's the guidance I will give, right, to shareholders.
So let me tell you where I'm going in terms of asking. Can we expect to see, for example, over 100 million per quarter in revenue once the 100 schools come on?
That's the aim. That's the aim. I've always said it. If you looked at my projections at IPO, while we took a longer time to accomplish it, right? I'm trying to build a business that returns at least 100 million in revenues, net profit at least of 25 to 30%, right, and gross margins of roughly about 80%. That's the sort of business that 400 million, 30% of that is 120 million per year. But that's going to take time to get to. We just reported 90 million in revenues. We continue to grow that, and we will continue to grow at a very measured pace without compromising our operation. Because, Jeremy, if I roll out quick and get everything one time, it may compromise the quality, and then you get that short-term uptick. But what happens is long-term, people say the product is not good. You don't want that, right? What you want is for people to fall in love with your product, a well-engineered product, and the quality of service, so that they want more and more and more. And that's how you build a business.
Okay. So we heard about Una a lot when the prospectus was out and when you were doing your IPO. How have you been able to integrate AI? You mentioned it briefly, but talk to us a little bit about how you've integrated AI into your learning solution.
So Una is going to come alive for September. We're actually doing a launch in August at the Jamaica Teachers Association conference, where we're going to be demonstrating the ability for teachers to quickly generate lesson plans and handouts and assessment at no charge, right? And so what we've managed to do, Jermaine, is that it has been a long journey, obviously. Most of our shareholders may know how these things work, they may not, but it's not easy or cheap to customize, a model based on a local context, right? And so what we've done is that we've spent a lot of engineering efforts. We've had a lot of trials and failures in getting it right. And now we believe we're at a very good place where we've more or less kind of customized that model, large language model, in a localized context, so that we can use it to give contextual help to teachers. So it's not just ChatGPT, right? We've taught the model to be a teacher in Jamaica. We've taught the model to be a teacher in the Bahamas. And so when a teacher uses it now, we're expecting that lesson plan to be generated the way he or she would have wanted it to be, specific to the learning objective, specific to our local curriculum, our local context, and our local examples. In addition to that, students too will be able to get contextual help. So not only are you getting help, but you're getting help based on our local context, our local nuances, and so on. And so Una will be integrated in the classroom, this classroom of the future that you're seeing. Your teachers will be able to use it to facilitate question and answers with the students, and it will be a support for the teacher. We don't expect it to replace a teacher. We expect it to enhance a teacher and to allow that teacher to have access to information at their fingertips. And the students, instead of calling into the studio live, they will interact with an AI agent. So that's kind of where we are. Now, the long term of UNA is remains. The strategy is more or less to have to create a human-like tutor for every child in the world, Jermaine. So that's my long-term vision. But these are baby steps to get there, and we'll need a lot of capital to get that right.
That leads me to my next question, right? So we're gonna take questions from the audience. I'll ask you to post your questions in the comments. We're gonna get to them in about 2 minutes. So I have 2 more questions for you, Ricardo. So the first one, in terms of capital, now you're able to realize more profits in the current quarter. So your cash position should at least be improved. But in terms of the need that R&D has in terms of cash, will you need to raise capital? Do you have enough? There's an increase in terms of the junior market cap. So you do have the ability to go back to the market for more capital. What's your thought process?
Yeah, you know what, Jermaine, we will need cash based on the aggressive nature. We spent 87 million since September last year on research and development. Let's get that clear, right? Had we not spent that money, that 50 million in cash that we ended in May, you add that to the 87 million, you're at 140 million, 150 million, right? But we've made that decision because we understand that we need to do that to generate income at a very fast pace. Now, Jermaine, the reality is that what we're doing with AI, we're going to need a lot of capital, right? Because the cost of managing and maintaining what we do is a lot, and we will need capital. Whether we go junior market or whether we do it through another company on the overseas market, we're evaluating all of those things. I mean, we have many ways that we're looking at this. The reality is that, you know, some things are more appreciated in other jurisdictions, right? So I may say, look, I want to raise 3, 4, 5 million US in Jamaica to do R&D work for the next 3 years. And somebody may say, not a chance, right? But I will go to the US and say that very same thing, and they give me $10 million to work on this idea. So we're looking at our options and seeing, you know, where we need to go. We need, at the very least, $3 million to do the first build of what I've just explained to you, which is that human-like tutor, because it's not an easy engineering feat to get done. And that's just the first phase, right? That's a proof of concept kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, look, we're looking at other options as well.
Are there any ways to bridge that gap? So you need 3 to 4 million US. Are there any opportunities for partnership where maybe a company that's already working on it, you partner with them, you may not get to have to spend all of that capital, and then there's something that you can do together?
Yeah, that's something that is being worked on. We actually have a partnership now with an Austin-based company called RT Scale, where we're training their models for them. And we have, once we've done that well, there's actually an equity stake in that company. The guys behind this company are Microsoft guys and Visa guys working on AI, so it's quite large. But that's something that is in R&D, right? What I would say to you, Jermaine, is that when we get cash, being a listed company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, there's an expectation that we have a return on that cash in the short term. That's the expectation in the Jamaican space. So if I'm raising cash in Jamaica, I have to be very careful how I use that cash. And so that's why I'm a little coy in terms of how I use the Jamaican investment landscape for that. Now, there are private investors who are interested, and so I may be more willing to do that privately because there's less pressure than a public raise where you're pressured to get return on that. Our business is not one where we raise money and you're going to get return tomorrow. Education is a long-term thing, and you have to believe in that.
Okay. So my final question before we get to the chat here, are there any, so one-on-one, I'd like you to describe one-on-one in terms of where it fits in the market, right? So you may get comparisons from time to time that I'm not sure fully factors in what you do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take the opportunity to ask you, how is one-on-one positioned in the market?
Yep.
Who do you compare to, if any? and what makes you stand out from
You know,
others
Jermaine,
out there?
my one-on-one is focused on personalizing education and training. And that has been our mantra from 2013 up to now. And by personalizing, meaning that we want to build learning technologies and content that allows users individually to learn and to get training based on their weaknesses and their strengths, right? That's our focus, and we build technology to support that vision. That's our vision, it doesn't change. We also see ourselves as a technological backbone of education systems, right? Meaning we empower organizations, companies, schools to use our technology to do what they want to do, right? Other companies who are trying to create e-learning companies locally could use our technology. We have a few who have used our technology. Regionally, we have people who have come to us to say, I want to use your technology to start my education business, right? Whether that be a tutoring company or they want to run another e-learning company, it's entirely up to them. You know, some of the larger folks we've worked with, like Cable and Wireless International, Liberty Latin America, and so on, they use our technology to power what they do. And so we see ourselves as a technological backbone of the education system, and that's kind of how we want to be seen, right? We're spending 50% of our salaries monthly on R&D, and we want that technology to be used by not just end users, but also a platform as a service for other companies to use to run their own technological or educational operation.
So are you a technology company or an education
Technology company.
Okay.
You know, Jeremy, look, I see one-on-one as
I mean, you understand why I
that's
asked,
fine.
right?
Yeah,
I just wanted to-
we see one-on-one as a company who is big on investing in the tech, and education is a problem we're solving now. In fact, the AI approach, one of the reasons why I'm coy about raising money at one-on-one to focus on AI is simply because any AI investment will be beyond education. It would be more knowledge acquisition for anything, right? And so we see that as a separate company where education is just one application of it, kind of thing. And so we see one-on-one as a technology company that just focuses on education and training.
Okay, so I'm happy that you said that,
Yeah.
because what I'm seeing is that there are opportunities for you to go outside of what may be known as the constraints to the education space,
Yeah.
that potential to growth and the challenges that come with being in education, versus if you're a technology company, then that opens up
Yeah.
new opportunities.
So the models that we're training for this Austin-based company, Austin, Texas, right, is actually to detect what we call sentiments in many use cases. One of them is education. If I'm teaching you and I see that your face don't look like you're learning anything, why you're not learning and so on. So it uses kind of like vision, and it sees what's going on your face, micro expressions, and it analyzes that. But that same technology can be used in fraud detection. And so this is what I'm saying. AI for us is not just for education. It's just an application of it. And we will benefit from that and continue to benefit from that. So if we're raising capital, it will be more or less through a way that is away from one-on-one, perhaps a subsidiary, perhaps an associated company. We're not sure yet.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So those are my questions. I know we have a few that are bookmarked here. So let's start with Canada Immigration Compass is asking, due to the damage done to various schools by Hurricane Beryl, does this affect your rollout in the various targeted schools for your program, since some schools may need to prioritize repairs?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Now, one of the things that we focus on, we spoke about engineering, is that when we install the technology in the schools to consume the content that is being streamed, we put a protective screen on top of it, right? And this model we think works. So it protects it from, let's say, damage on the front and damage coming from the top, right? And so the rooms that we transform or we are transforming were not affected, thank God. And so, you know, schools will actually be helped by what we do, because if they can't get all their classes back up, we can stream those classes for them from where we are. And that's the reason why this model is so important. In fact, because of this and the work that we've done, you know, I went to Monroe after the hurricane, Hampton. I went to a number of the schools just to kind of check on them and see where they are. And we provided a lot of assistance to these schools, just from a CSR standpoint. But the point is that, Jermaine, when I see these schools, and if I'm building back these classrooms with this model, whereby that one class can be many classes, right? And so we are going to support that, and it will not necessarily affect us in any great way because the stuff is protected there and the content is external to it. Now, here at One-on-One, we're heavily invested in solar and other resilient methods in such a way that we can stream the content to the schools as well. So we won't be affected by that.
Okay. Yeah. So if anything, it presents an opportunity for you to maybe support schools that are affected that may want to leverage the technology. All right, apologies for that. We had minor internet issue, but we're back. We should be good. So I'm talking just for a few seconds, so you can let me know in the chat that you're able to hear me. So thumbs up again if you're able to hear us okay. And I think by now we should be good to go. All right, so what we'll do is I wanted you to just, I'll repeat the last question that we asked just in case. So I was mentioning that your technology actually provides an opportunity for those schools who might have been impacted, maybe not a part of the 100 schools, and they may want to leverage this just in case maybe their classrooms are unusable, so on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the power of the tech, right? So, you know, again, what has happened to some of the schools is just a disaster, Jeremy. And I've gone to a few of them. I've seen it myself. I'm heartbroken by it. And the schools that we're in now, great. But the schools that we're not in who are affected, yeah, we'll be able to support them and making available our daily classes to those schools. So we're helping those schools.
Okay. All right. I think we have another question. All right. So Shelly is asking, well, I think it's a multiple part question here. First one, repeat net profit or loss for Q3. I'm not sure exactly what's the question there, Shelly. Can you rephrase? And the next question here is any higher education institution client? If so, what percentage of that are those clients in relation to your B2B clients?
Yeah, so Jeremy, we're not focused on higher education. We've just signed a deal with Excelsior Community College, and we're very excited about that. We're going to be rolling out our courses on our platform to all those students. So while they're pursuing their regular degrees, we're allowing them to leverage One-on-One's content library, which is about 30,000 courses, to actually take those in-demand skills that they need, whether it's a Google certification, whether it's a Python certification, or so on. Those folks at Excelsior Community College, those students will be able to do that. That press release goes out next week, and that's a partnership we're excited about. So we're testing this. If it works, we believe it's a model that can be used in all the schools. As I said, we see ourselves as the backbone behind the education system. So now we're leveraging our expansive content library to equip Excelsior Community College and any other community college to offer those additional advanced courses that leads to certification. And so that's our plan to enter that. But it's a very small percentage of revenue now because we're testing it.
Okay. Okay, so Shelly is saying repeat the net profit and loss figure for Q3. Shelly, can you rephrase the entire question? I'm not sure I brought it together. Or the team here, Renee, if you are able to maybe reformat the question for me, that would help.
Yeah. Is she asking how much we made in Q3?
Well, I'm thinking no, because that was clear from the thing. So I'm not sure. So I'll just give it some time. She does have some other questions though. Part 4, a freelance/independent educator can create a profile on other private lessons via the platform. Is that?
Yes, that's the aim. That's the plan. So what we're rolling out for teachers is to equip all the teachers to be able to create their own, more or less, education business on the platform and run it. Again, the technology infrastructure that supports it. And the lesson plan generation feature initially will be freely available to all teachers, and that's powerful.
Okay. And then her next question is, how soon will one-on-one expand to other islands in the region? So you're already in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
How soon before?
So again, one-on-one has a presence in every Caribbean, English-speaking Caribbean country through our Flow Study product, right? That's something that we do through Cable and Wireless. So every Flow country has that program running. But what we are doing in the Bahamas is much more advanced, and what we're doing in Jamaica is much more advanced. For those other countries, you go in with Flow Study, then you make them more advanced, and then you kind of grow. So our plan, again, as I said earlier, is not to rush things. Countries are coming to us, asking us for the solution. They're going to the Bahamas. We had about 4 countries visiting the Bahamas to get a tour of what we've done for them. They're going to come to Jamaica as well to see what we're doing here. And we're bringing them to where we've been successful to show what we've done so they can take that back, right? Guyana was one of those countries who have gone to see what we've done in the Bahamas. So we have a number of countries that we're looking at, Jermaine, but again, we're not rushing things. We want to do it in a very methodical way to get it right. We're not rushing profitability. We want to do it in a right way. We just returned $94 million in revenues, $25 million in profits. We want to sustain that level of profitability and want to grow in a very measured way.
Okay. Shelly's asking, so are we done seeing all these losses like the previous 3 quarters? I think that was her question.
Yeah,
so I guess it's more of wanting an assurance that, so if you, I think what she's asking, and this would probably make sense, the unpredictability or seeming unpredictability of profits for the company. Have you turned that corner? Is it something that we can say, even if it's not the 24 million, are we looking at profitable quarters going forward based on where you are right now?
That's the plan. Jermaine, prior to August 2022, when we listed on the exchange, we would have returned an annual average profit of about $50 million for 3 years. And then we got 12 million in August 2022, 2023 August, we got a loss of 31 million, 37 million. And then up to 6 months this year, we had 40 million in losses. This is not something our board is happy about. This is not something that our management team is happy about. The reality is that we have decided to be very focused on a strategy. And as a result of that strategy, we had to endure some very tough times. We believe that the investments that we've now made, the changes that we've made internally to support that new strategy, is now going to bear fruits for us going forward. And our plan is to continue to run a profitable venture, all with being still measured, managing those expenses and managing our continued growth. What I'm saying, Jermaine, is that not because there are 1,000 schools in Jamaica that needs our solution, or in another country, we're going to go in and do it just because, right? We're going to do it right. And we're going to do it, and doing something right takes time. Now, because we've done it in the two of the largest countries in the Caribbean, it makes it easier to do it in a country, let's say, with 10,000 people, right? And so we kind of boilerplate that and can template that model in the other countries. So we will move faster going forward. But the last 2 years has been about a very measured way of doing things, even if that led to a loss. And, you know, you don't plan for losses, but these things happen as a result of just kind of staying with our strategy. But guess what? The investments that we've made during that period, the fact that we weren't monetizing or earning revenues during that period because we were testing, because that's why you make losses, right? We have a platform that is out there and we're testing to get feedback, right? Because it's R&D, you can't book the thing as CapEx. You have to book it as an expense. And as a result, you make losses. Okay, we had high team costs and so on. We fixed that. But going forward, we do expect to continue in this growth trajectory and keeping those costs low.
All right, Shelley, let me know if you had any other question. Okay, so TY, I think we addressed the audio issues, so I think we're okay. Yeah, so I think we're okay, right? Another question from Shelley here. There is currently one studio. How much would it cost and time to create other studios locally or regionally? So the investment you've made in this. So for example, let's say a content studio in Montego Bay, maybe a
In another
studio
country.
in Bahamas. Well,
Yeah.
is that something you're thinking about?
Yeah. So the reality is that every country will have a localized version of this. It needs it because then you get the local teachers, train them, and then countries like to consume their own thing, right? Like you wouldn't want to sit here and listen to somebody from another country and so on. And that's been our experience.
Yeah.
And so this has cost us some money, but some of the cost was trying to figure it out. So we kind of engineering these from the scratch, you know, the build, the quality, and so on. Everything that we've done, the equipment that's in the school, we had to engineer the screens because of our climate conditions and so on. And so we spent a lot of time figuring that out. The next one that we do will be much easier. We're not planning to put another one in Jamaica. The schools are asking to put it in the schools. So they want to be producers. Essentially, the school are saying to us, we want to stream our teachers to other schools, right? So that's a model we're looking at as well. It probably cost us, you know, it's not gonna cost us a lot of money to replicate what we've done. That's what I would say. And is there a plan to do it? No, no. But countries are asking for the model. And interestingly, one of the places that have asked us is that we brought a team here from New York, the school district, and in Utah, they saw it and they want one in New York and Utah because they have the same problems we do. The teachers are leaving out of the teaching system, right? So they want to kind of replicate what we've done here and to get the designs and so on. So we're looking at that. But again, Jermaine, I have to be very focused, right? I can't say it enough. We have to get it right. We have to prove the model before I can even think about monetizing the studios in that way, you know?
So it makes sense. So you're still trying to recover the return on this initial investment. You wouldn't want to go and build another.
Absolutely.
And then that may lead you to losses that you don't plan.
That Shelley doesn't want, right? But I tell you, we have secured 35% usage of this capacity, right? By next year, we want to double that. By the following year, we're going to be there. We're going to need to expand, right? But before we expand, we want to monetize. And what does 100% capacity looks like, Jermaine? It probably looks like more than half of our revenues now. And so that should give you some perspective on it. It is a very good idea, and it is a lucrative idea once it works.
All right, TY is saying that they explored the platform a few months ago and realized that the video presentation for various CSEC subjects did not cover the full syllabus. Do you plan to improve this?
I'm not sure which subject that they would have gone on, but we create, the content we create on the platform is intended to have someone stay at home and cover the entire curriculum. Of course, curriculum change from time to time, and we update the content. Over the past year, we've made a lot of updates. There are some things that we've built that's not in production as yet as well. But this is an ongoing process for us. But the intent is to have it cover the syllabus. So I'd love to know which subject that is. But you know, we constantly work to understand what changes there are in the syllabus and what needs there to transform and to change that content.
Okay. So TY, let the one-on-one team know which course that was. Either message them, message us, we'll get it to them. Cliff Robinson is asking, what are your plans for capital if you decide to go into expansion mode and are in need of additional funds?
Yeah, so TY, again.
That's Cliff, that one.
Cliff, oh, that's Cliff. Cliff, sorry about that. You know, Cliff, we believe that where we are now, we have a solid plan for growth and to grow through profits, right? There will be need as we prove this model where we get to a stage where we either need to expand on the content studio. There's going to be work and continue to work on the AI space. That's going to require a lot of capital. And so for AI capital, we want to look at raising that in a way that doesn't put immediate pressure on us to get returns, because that's going to take time, right? But for businesses that are working that, you know, or segments that are working that you just need capital to expand, such as the content studio, those we're going to consider perhaps locally raising funds publicly. At this time, there's no talk about raising funds. Just to put that on the table, we're very much focused now on delivering on the funds that we raised in IPO, and to give shareholders a return on that. And we will get to a point where we need to go additional funds. I'm quite excited about JC moving that number from 500,000 to 750 million. It means that we can raise another 400 million, because we did 350. And so we're looking at that, and we're saying, but we're not just going to raise funds for raising funds' sake, because again, education and in capital deployed in an education company will take time. But if you don't do it right, you have a company that goes out of business, right? And we've seen that. If you look in Baiju in India, fastest growing edtech company, it was a unicorn worth $1 billion. Now they're looking at insolvency. Wow. You have to be very careful how you grow an education company. And we try not to grow through providing services. We grow through our IT infrastructure, or technological infrastructure, or content backbone, or engineering expertise. That's how we grow.
Okay. So this is a question that has come up based on your answer. Is there a certain maybe balance sheet or profitability state that you would feel comfortable to then maybe make some more long-term investments? Because I get what I believe you're trying to do, where you've been through this kind of phase over the last 2 years. You want to prove to shareholders quarters of profitability, steadily increasing revenues, etc. So is it that, for example, you'd want to see maybe 3 or 4 quarters of consistent profitability before you make any further investment? I'm just trying to figure out your headspace.
So Jeremy, if I am returning you $100 million profit for the year, and that continues to grow, I would like not to raise more profits. I would like capital. I'd love to expand through growing my balance sheet, my cash position, and so on over the years, and try to invest from that, right? I think if we ever decide to raise capital, which I'm sure we will, it will be to further the technological advances that we're doing now. AI is the big thing now, and that's going to require a lot of capital. And I think that's our next thought to raise capital. I don't want to speak too much on it now, simply because I think it's a little premature based on where we are now. But as I said, I don't have a number in my mind that if I get to that, I will get to that. In fact, if I get to the numbers I really want to get to, so, because I'm one of the biggest shareholders, we'd love to start paying dividends and so on, and do those nice things, right? But my wife said to me recently that, Ricardo, you can't raise additional capital and paying dividends and things like that. You have to grow the business, sustain the business, and so on. German, I have a good team. I have a good wife. I have a good board of directors. I have a good management team, and we're very much focused on not doing things just because, but doing things for our purpose. If an opportunity comes up, an acquisition, we may need to raise capital. Right now, we're very focused on operationally getting the right things right.
Okay. I think we have 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up here. So Rage Berserker, as a CEO, you travel a lot and you're extremely busy. Do you get to interact with your staff often, especially those who are not on the move with you?
Well, I don't know if I travel a lot, but perhaps CEOs do, Jermaine, but I spend a lot of time, as I said, I'm a roll up the sleeve kind of CEO. So I spend a lot of time here with my engineering team. I spend a lot of time with my my staff, coaching my staff, working through problems with them, and so on. Again, I would have liked to be the CEO who kind of jump on a plane and focus on sales, and perhaps that's where we need to go. We're looking to see if I could get, I think the next phase for us is to get the support in that regard, where, and Jeremy, if I were to admit, I actually think I'm more a product guy than a CEO. I really enjoy building and engineering things, right? Using math is like my core, right? I also like to tell people about that. And so that's the selling side, right? And so, yeah, I spend a lot of time with my staff and the engineering team, especially. That's the best team.
I mean, there are many ways to sell, right? Yeah. So if you, yeah, there are many ways to sell, is what I'll say. Yeah. All right, I think we have 1 more question. Danny is saying, with the platform being so, okay, with the platform being so deficient as it relates to content unavailable across all grade levels, what will one-on-one do to improve the availability of content?
Yeah, so our content now is for high school. We don't provide content for primary schools, right? And this is not something that we plan to do in this financial year. The content we have is very expansive for the high school market. It's the most expansive there is. But we don't have content beyond high school or before high school. Again, we're very focused on perfecting what we're doing now. And then there's come a time when we may have to go into primary school. We may have to go into other areas. For now, every school in the Bahamas, infant, primary, high, uses our platform, not the content, our platform and technology. So that's how we serve all our users. And as time goes on, we plan to leverage our content to serve more and more of the segment of the market. Right now, we're serving, obviously, Excelsior Community College with the university folks. Primary school content is not easy. When I say it's not easy, the kids are younger, they learn a little differently. And so you have to kind of think about that. So it's a lot of investment that would require that. Again, right now, we like where we are. We need to really focus on doing what we're doing, right? And I think we'll be fine. Yeah.
And I imagine that the content takes time to, either be produced, so uploaded, curated in the right way. So
Yeah.
it's a process.
Yeah, it's a long process. I mean, we've spent kind of 10 years building and improving on content, right? So we have a flavor for the high school market. As I said, R&D would be needed to go below to the primary school market.
Okay.
But we do plan eventually to get there because it's something that, as your viewer just asked, is something that's been demanded.
Okay. We have any more questions or? Okay. So I see at least one more question here. I think I saw it's not brought on the screen, but I'll just ask it here. Okay. All right. No, so I think that's it. So Ricardo, I want to thank you so much for the time. I feel like I understand one-on-one a lot better now. So I'll give you the opportunity to say your final remarks to those who are watching and to just close us out.
Thanks, Jermaine. Shareholders, thanks for sitting in and listening over the past couple of minutes. Just to share with you an update, it really meant a lot to us to kind of come and share with you where we are in our journey and what is to come. I hope you learned a lot and kind of understood kind of where we're going. Just to share with you, I want you to remain confident in our team. We have a solid team, a solid management team, a solid board of directors, and obviously some really good shareholders who have stuck with us over the past 2 years. We've been very focused on a core strategy coming out of IPO, and we're beginning to see the fruits of that kind of focus and strategic moves. We continue to focus on recurring revenues. We continue to focus on optimizing those costs and also to monetize our investment, right? Over the next couple of months, I'm expecting things to continue to improve, obviously on the revenue side, profitability, and on the cost side. And, we do expect some really good things to come. I'm really excited for September as we roll out our One Academy solutions into 100 schools. And hopefully Jamaica will benefit from that. I'm equally excited about our work across the region and what we continue to do. So thanks for joining us and being on this journey with us. Very happy that you are a shareholder and you continue to be a shareholder.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we were streaming live from the One-on-One Content Studio, and we'll see you for the next earnings call.